Awesome. All right. Well, uh, obviously I get a phone call. This is perfect. Okay. So, welcome everybody to another episode of Joe Knows. My name is Joe Dallow, and I'm an estate planning attorney in the state of Michigan. And this is a little bit of a different episode, and I am on here by myself. The reason that I'm on here by myself is because my guest, who is calling me right now, got stuck in court. And the reason that he got stuck in court is because it's probate court and nobody wants to be in probate. So, the whole or one of the main purposes of estate planning is to avoid probate court. And this is a perfect example of real life problems that happen because of probate court. Um, we had originally delayed the viewing of this episode from my normal time of 11 o'clock to noon. And we were just not able to make it happen. So my guest will be on for another episode, but I will go ahead and educate you guys a little bit on estate planning and what it is and what the benefits are of having an estate plan. Uh, my name is Joe Dallow. I'm an estate planning attorney. You can follow me on social media. I have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Um, I have a YouTube page. You can call me at 248-914-8146 or leave me an email at joe@dallowestateplanning.com and I'll get back with you with any answers to questions that you might have. You can also ask questions during this webinar, and I will be more than happy to answer that for you. Um, so, with that being said, we will talk a little bit about what estate planning is. What is estate planning? Estate planning is who's going to take care of you, who's going to take care of your kids, who's going to take care of your assets if you're not able to do that. So, what does that mean? A lot of people think estate planning is something for when they pass away, but that's not necessarily all that it is. If you're in a position where you, for whatever reason, cannot take care of yourself, who's going to pay your bills? Who's going to make medical decisions for you? All that good stuff. Who's going to take care of your kids? Things that you consider, but you don't really necessarily put it together with estate planning until you actually become educated on it. So, with that being said, I'll see some of the questions that I usually get, and you can always ask me questions while we're doing this. I'll be more than happy to help you. So, some of the misconceptions that I get is that estate planning is only for wealthy people. This is not true. People only consider the aspect of when they pass away, what they're going to give to other people. But let's say you don't own a house or you don't have any money. You still have yourself. You're alive. You can take care of yourself now, but what happens if you cannot take care of yourself? Have you ever thought of, if you're in a coma or you've gotten COVID and you're in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, who's going to pay bills for you? Who's going to make medical decisions when you cannot do it? Let's say you have Alzheimer's or some type of um, medical condition that doesn't allow you to take care of yourself. Who's going to do that for you? You don't want to be behind on making payments 3, 4, 5 months or whatever it is. You'll probably lose some of your assets. uh you might get kicked out if you're renting, stuff like that people don't consider with estate planning. So it's not only for wealthy people. Also you might have kids. Who's going to take care of your kids? That's a very important uh topic that people need to be concerned about. I mean, especially, you're usually doing that when they're minors. You have to be concerned about who's going to take care of your kids if you're not able to do that. Um, Sometimes people think that, if they're married, that their spouse automatically gets certain rights. For example, if I'm sick, my spouse will be able to take care of it. In some situations, yes, but most cases, that's not necessarily the case. Have you ever tried calling a bank, a healthcare provider, um, a um, uh, a media company, whatever it is? Call Verizon, call a cable company, call whatever, and it's in your spouse's name. They will not talk to you. I mean, it's just that's what it is. You don't necessarily get the rights that you think that you should have. You need documentation that gives that person the rights to be able to take care of you when you're not able to do it. Um, Other times, people think that their spouse will inherit all of the assets. Under Michigan intestacy laws, that's not the case. It depends on how your assets are being held. Can your home be held under both spouses? And God forbid, if one of them passes away, the other spouse gets full rights to that house? Yes. Can it be in a way where the spouse will have to go to probate court and fight with the children to get partial ownership of that asset? Also, yes. So you don't want to leave it up to the laws of the state. You want to make sure that the assets go to the right people at the right time. One of the main questions that I get a lot, people are not educated in estate planning, so they don't really know what they need. They call me up and say, I need a will or I need a simple will. They don't realize that there are other documents that are part of the umbrella of estate planning that they might need. So I always ask certain questions to see what their goals are, what they're looking to do, so that I can educate them and help them make a decision that they're comfortable with to take care of what they need. So one of the main questions that I get is, what is the difference between a trust and a will? So in the state of Michigan, a will still has to go through probate court. Probate court is the court process that determines who will get your assets, who will take care of you, stuff like that. A will still has to go through the probate process for it to be confirmed by the judge that you that those are your intentions. Those are the people that you want to take care of your children. Those are the people that you want to get your assets. Probate court right now is taking about a year. My guest for today got delayed, couldn't make it today. It's a headache. It costs money. You can avoid probate court by having other documents. One of those documents is a trust. A trust is kind of creating like another entity, or like my guest would have explained, which I got this analogy from him, is like it's like having a pot, and whatever you put inside of that pot, you are holding for specific people. So you can say, I want to put my house in the pot. I want to put my business in the pot. I want to um, put my 401k in the pot. Whatever it is that you own, you can put into that pot. And the best part about it is that those assets will not go through probate court. There are other special features with a trust that are great, and especially with kids, but the main objective is to avoid probate court. With your children, the reason that a trust is great is because with a trust, you can put in certain protections for your children because they're children and they can't make decisions for themselves. So, um, what are those protections? One of them is self protection. If you have an inheritance, let's say you have $100,000, for example, you have one child, you have $100,000. Your If you pass away, your child will legally be able to acquire all of that $100,000 if they're 18 years old or older. So imagine giving an 18-year-old some money. They're probably not going to spend it wisely. So through a trust, you can prevent your children from spending the money by putting in restrictions on by age or intervals or whatever, to say, you know what, I am going to have a trustee, which is like the manager. I'm going to pick this person to be the trustee. It's going to be my brother, my sister, whoever, and they're going to hold on to the money and they're going to use it for necessities. If my kids need food, shelter, clothing, medical bills, college, possibly to be paid for, they can use that money to pay for them. But my kids cannot request any money until they turn a certain age. You can say, I don't want them to get any money until they turn 21. They'll get 10% at 21. And at 25, they can get another 30%. And by the age of 35, they can get all the rest of the money, whatever's left over. That way, you are preventing them from wasting the money on stuff that might not be the right thing to purchase. And you are leaving the money with somebody that you trust to make the right decisions for them. Creditor protection. If your children owe money to creditors, the trustee holds on to the money for the children. It's not their money yet, technically. So a creditor cannot reach over into the asset to get to it because it's technically not the children's asset yet. So that's a good way that you can protect your children from creditors. And then predator protection. Predator protection is somebody that is close to your children that might not be trustworthy, might try to take advantage of them. Once they find out that your children have access to money, they're going to come over and say, hey, I have this great business idea, or let's buy a house together, or whatever it is. And they'll end up trying to convince your young adult children to gift them money or spend money on certain things. And it's difficult for a young adult to be put in that situation because maybe they can't say no um, to that person, for example. So it's a good way to keep the predators away because the children still don't have access to the money directly. Um, and then the main one with estate planning is guardianship. You want to choose who's going to take care of your children. You don't want the state to choose. If you don't make a decision, anybody can go to court to petition to be a guardian of your children should you pass away. So, for example, let's say you and your spouse pass away, you have minor children. I can go and petition the court and say, I want to be the guardian of of those children. Will I win? Probably not, but the judge will choose based on the options available. And I can probably make a good case for myself as an attorney, being trustworthy, that I could be thrown into the running. But other people can make themselves look good as well for a short period of time to be in that role. So if you know somebody that has a close title that you do not want to have guardianship of your children should you not be able to take care of them, I would highly suggest naming guardians of your children through estate planning so that you would feel comfortable that if something happens to you, your children will be in the right hands. Um, Avoiding probate court. Through estate planning, one of the main goals is to avoid probate court. I know I mentioned it earlier. It's time consuming, it's a hassle. It is not something that you want to go through when you're grieving somebody's loss. So, when somebody passes away, you're not trying to go to court and think about all these things, but it gets thrown upon you on top of all of the other stuff that you're doing, making funeral arrangements and getting bills situated and just figuring out how to be on your own without that person anymore. You do not want to have to go through the hassle of probate court. Um, there are a couple of different ways that you can avoid probate court through estate planning. It's not just one specific document or one way of doing that, but there are in Michigan a couple of different ways. One is using the beneficiaries on some accounts. I still recommend a trust. A trust is the best way of doing it. That ensures a multi-layered um, protection for you and your family should something happen or should multiple things happen, that you haven't thought about through the other methods, because the other methods are a little bit limited. So the first ideal way is through a trust. With property, you can do a ladybird deed. A ladybird deed is cool because if your only main asset is a house, you could possibly do a ladybird deed where you give the house to you until you pass away, and then it goes into a trust or to specific people depending on how you want to do it and their ages. Um, we would talk about that if you're interested in something like that. That would avoid probate court. That would allow for your house to transfer to your loved ones without them having to go to court. Now, the issue with that is there might be a mortgage on the house. And if there's a mortgage on the house, then the people that you are that are receiving the house will have to be able to pay off that mortgage. In some cases, they might be able to absorb the hit of the mortgage, but the best way to gift that house to the uh, or for somebody to inherit it is with also inheriting life insurance. Life insurance is used to not have to liquidate assets. If you if you pass away and your house goes to somebody and they cannot afford the mortgage, they would have to sell the property to pay the mortgage off. And in some cases that's not ideal. So life insurance is an ideal way that you can um, coordinate with your estate plan to not only give your assets to the people that you love, but also give them enough money to pay for it, and then they don't have to worry about having to sell those assets off, whether it be stocks or houses. I mean, the thing is depends on timing, right? Right now the housing market is very high. Tomorrow it could drop. You don't know. And if you if somebody inherits the property or the asset at the wrong timing, they may be forced to sell that asset. I had a client recently, um, his mom passed away. He had to liquidate her 401k, whether the value was up or down or whatever, but he had to liquidate the whole 401k to be able to pay off the mortgage on that property because he could not afford the mortgage as it was. If they would have had life insurance, then it would have been a different story. He could have used the life insurance to pay off the mortgage and then um, kept the assets in the 401k for a little bit longer, maybe made a little bit more money and been more efficient with the assets like that. Um, I make the process pretty easy. If you choose to hire me, I do a consultation, it's free. And when I do the consultation, I will educate you on what your options are. And um when I educate you, I just want you to make the right decision that's for you and your family, right? So I'll explain to you what the pros and cons are for every type of document or setup that I'm considering setting up for you, and then you can do that. So sorry, hold on one second. All right. Okay. Um, after I inform you of what you can do in your situation to achieve your goals, then I send you a contract. It's all electronic. You can review the contract. You can make your payment. You can go on my website and fill out the intake questionnaire. And once I receive that, it usually takes me about 1 to 2 weeks to get all of the documents together for you. I will email you a rough draft of those documents for you to review. Make sure everything looks fine. The names are written properly. Um, the assets are gifted how you wanted, or uh, just to review it. Once you approve that, then you can schedule a signing date, and you will go to an office with a notary and a witness and sign those documents and make them effective and legal. So that's the full process of what you would do. We can meet in person if you like. We can do Zoom meetings if you like. We can do phone calls if you like. I'm open to all of those. I also offer through a third party a payment plan option if the payment amount is out of your reach, because I would rather have you get your documents today and make payments on them, even though through that third party they do charge a little bit of interest. But I would rather have you be protected today and make payments than wait until you have the money and not be protected. So I do offer that for you, as an option. I have a unique skill set, and I don't just create the documents for you and let you go. Um, I try to help people out in whatever they need. So if you need anything, whether it's legal stuff, estate planning, other legal stuff, family law, criminal law, business matters, whatever it is, I always ask people to contact me. And if I can do it, great. And if I can't, I either have somebody for you or I'll try to find somebody for you that can take care of that. Again, I appreciate that you guys are with me and watching these live episodes. I heard a couple of people that had told me that they had been watching, and I didn't realize that I have so many people that are watching at any given time. So I really do appreciate that. If you need to get a hold of me, again, my phone number is 248-914-8146. And my email address is joe@dalloestateplanning.com. I can help you with your estate planning needs, and I can help you with some other stuff as well. Again, thank you again for this joining me on this episode. You can give me a call at 248-914-8146 or email me at joe@dalloestateplanning.com. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.